Welcome, everyone, to our PCS Grades weekly webinar. Today, we are talking about finding the right fit, not only for ball gowns like the ones that we're all wearing today, but also for home loans. And the challenge of finding the right fit can be something that we need to address when we're buying a home. Also, in honor of International Women's Day, we have an all-women call today. So welcome to the webinar, ladies. I'm Lizanne Lightfoot. I'm the content editor at PCS Grades and a Marine Corps spouse, also mom of 5 kids and a published author. And I found this particular ball gown when we were stationed overseas in Spain. So it's my pleasure to introduce you to the other ladies on this call, starting with my co-host, Tessa Robinson.
Hello, I'm Tessa Robinson. I'm so excited to be back this week with some fantastic guests. I'm also a mother, not to 5, but to 2, and a guest content creator for PCS Grades. I found this ball gown about an hour before an event when I dumped coffee all over the white ball gown I was going to wear. But as we do, we improvise. And to talk about the importance of being flexible and all the different varieties of home loans today are our amazing experts. So let's go ahead and introduce them, Lauren and Yvonne. First question, Lauren, can you tell us about yourself and CrossCountry Mortgage?
Yes, I'm Lauren. I'm here. I'm in Colorado Springs. I'm also a mother. I have just one 7-year-old little girl. I've been a military spouse for a little over 10 years now. Have a background in real estate and banking, and now I'm doing loans on the military division with CrossCountry Mortgage.
We are so excited to have you here today, Lauren. And Yvonne, we're so pumped that you're here as well. We know you're here representing CrossCountry Mortgage, and we'll start discussing these home loans in just a moment. But first, please tell us more about your amazing nonprofit, Operation Deploy Your Dress.
Yes, thank you guys for having me, first of all, for having both of us. My name is Yvonne Coombs. I'm a military spouse of over 20 years. I have 2 children, Jacob and Jackson, 24 and 16. And I run a nonprofit that why do I keep saying that I co-founded back in 2015 with 4 other military spouses. So Operation Deploy Your Dress, we collect gently used and new formal attire, and we give it to military ID card holders and military family members for free so that they can go to military balls and other formal events like proms and things like that. So we have shops at 12 locations around the country, actually 1 in Germany as well. So I guess you could say around the world. And we do a pop-up event here in DC every year, which will be coming up on April 30th this year.
I love it. So excited to have you here today. And obviously in honor of Operation Deploy Your Dress, that's why we all decided to dress up.
There you go.
Dust off the ball gowns. But we also realized we have some really exciting things to celebrate from PCS Grades. So we're going to have a little party here at the beginning and announce those things first. And one that I'm super excited about is that we just published our 100th area guide on PCS Grades. So that means that we have detailed local information for 100 different military bases around the country. You can go to our area guide section, which I think we're dropping into the comments, and look up a base that you have orders to, or if you're trying to decide between a few different places, you get input from people who have been stationed there and can tell you about the area and what to do. So Fort Rucker, Alabama is our 100th area guide, and we are celebrating that today. Also, there is a party coming up, and everyone here is invited. And you guys who are watching virtually, it's going to be a virtual PCS planning party. So we're dropping a link to that in the comments as well. It's coming up on March 16th. I will be there representing PCS Grades. We're going to have, I think, Operation Deploy Your Dress is also participating. Military Mom Collective, several other military nonprofits are hosting this PCS planning party to just answer all your PCS questions. I'm going to be talking about OCONUS moves, and we just invite you to come and join and bring all of your questions and plan your next PCS.
So fun. This week's webinar is also special because we will do, wait for it, 2 live giveaways, and we're going to do the first one right now. Recently, PCS Grades hosted a swag bag giveaway for ODYD, Operation Deploy Your Dress, chapters around the country. In the bag, we have a PCS Grades t-shirt, an autographed copy of the Open When book penned by the fabulous Lizanne, and the branch coasters from Flags of Valor. So let's spin the wheel and see which ODYD participant won this swag bag. All right, share. This is always my favorite part. Share the screen. It's always a
that we're kicking off.
It works. And here we go. All right. And our first winner today is Margaret Landis. Hooray! So Margaret, if you're on, please contact us through the page. Otherwise, we'll find a way to reach out to you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And don't worry, I know some of you guys who've been here before, you're wondering why aren't we spinning the wheel at the beginning? It's okay. We're going to spin it again at the end of this webinar. So you guys know the drill. Throughout the day, we want to answer all of your questions about VA loans, about buying a house, and all of those comments and questions and shout outs are going to get compiled onto our second wheel of names, which we'll do at the end of this giveaway. And today we are doing a stressless PCS kit. I know you guys have heard of those before. It has all of those colorful tickets and door tags and organizational checklists to get you ready for your next stressless PCS. And we're also giving away an autographed copy of my book, Open When: Letters of Encouragement for Military Spouses. So stay tuned, stay in the comments. We're going to be giving those away at the end of the show today.
I love prizes. I feel like Oprah. You get a stressless PCS kit. You get an autographed copy. Always amazing. But let's get into the meat of the webinar. So Lauren, what are your loan options when buying a home? And how can someone tell which is the best fit for them?
Yeah, so I'm with CrossCountry. We offer many different products: conventional, FHA, VA, jumbo, non-conforming. I mean, all sorts of loan types. Just depending on your individual needs and financial situation, we have something that will fit. But I know we're focusing mostly on VA loans, and we do a lot of that here, especially being a military town, and being able to lend in all 50 states has been great, especially for our clients who move in PCS away from here.
It's so helpful. Can you talk to us a little bit about some of the advantages to using a VA loan?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the biggest one that everyone knows is there's no down payment. You have no monthly mortgage insurance, which is typical for FHA and conventional. Typically, the rates are a little bit better than conventional, so a little more competitive on that. You can use your VA loan over and over and over. It's not just a one-time thing. And then a lot of lenders, depending on the lender, everyone has kind of some different benchmarks and overlays, but it's more of like a relaxed credit requirement for VA loans. But each individual lender, again, and company is going to be different. And you don't need to have perfect credit. For example, with CrossCountry, we don't even have a FICO overlay for our VA buyers. So those people that have, a little less than perfect credit, we're still getting them into homes, which is amazing.
That is so exciting. And it definitely is a useful thing to have and to know about, whether you're purchasing your first home or whether you've done this a few times.
Right.
But Lauren, I know that the VA loan has undergone some changes over the years. And so someone who maybe researched it a few years ago and either couldn't use it for a home or it didn't seem like the right fit for them at that time. I understand now that the VA loan limits have been eliminated, which is a big deal because housing prices have really gone up and the markets have gone up in so many areas. So can you tell us a little bit about what those limits are and where VA loan limits might apply?
Yeah, for sure. It is true. The VA loan limit did go away in January 2020. They were just eliminated. So it really goes off of how much you can afford. So how much income do you have? How much house you can afford? Again, it depends on each individual person. The amount they can afford can be different. There is a time where the loan limits apply. So you have your VA entitlement. Say you have your full entitlement available. You haven't used your VA loan, or you've used it before and you sold your house. You have that full availability of the, any loan amount pending your, financial situation. But even if part of your entitlement is used up, say you have a home, right, and you guys are moving, but you want to keep it. You've lived there for 3 years, you guys are PCSing. You actually still have, a lot of the time, people will have a bonus entitlement. Again, depending on where you are, we just have to take a look. So you could keep that house that you've been at for 3 years if you want to rent it out, and you could still qualify up to a certain amount for another VA loan without a down payment. If you go over the VA guaranteed amount, you may have to put a little bit down. But I have a client right now who has a home in South Carolina. They're PCSing here. They do not want to get rid of that house because they want to go back to it. When we looked up his entitlement and what else he has available after his current VA loan, he can get a home here for up to $422 without having a down payment, which is amazing. That's when the limits come into play, is in that situation.
For sure. That's cool. I forgot that you can actually use it for 2 different properties simultaneously without closing out on the first. So
yes, as long as you've lived in it for over a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're so knowledgeable about this. I mean, for some people, I think talking about loans sounds very, very daunting, and you're breaking it down so easily. We really appreciate it. One of the things in this very hot housing market is that we've seen some military families with VA loans struggle to compete with other buyers. Can you talk to us a little bit about why that's happening?
Yes. Honestly, I think it's misinformation. I think there's a lot of people that don't understand the VA loan, and you don't know what you don't know. So having a realtor and a loan officer who's vetted in this and who understands the VA loan is so important in this market. I've heard some myths. Let's see, less likely to close, which is not true. I actually have less problems coming to closing time with VA loans than other loans as of right now. Takes longer to close. Again, I don't think that that's a good, myth. We can close them in 21 days, depending how, how the client is participating. Like if you're getting all your documents turned in, you're answering our questions and getting everything to us in a timely manner, we can close. But a lot of the time, people don't think it lies on the client getting everything we need, because we can only do what we can do with what we have. So just being, proactive on that is super important when you're getting a loan.
Absolutely. In addition to being proactive, how can you stay competitive using a VA loan in this housing market?
Number one, getting the right agent, a real estate agent that is, knowledgeable on VA loans. They can debunk myths. They can talk to, say, the listing agent doesn't know much about VA loans. They can explain the VA loan process. Get a lender that's responsive, a lender that's willing to talk to your listing agent when you put in an offer. All of those things are so, so important, especially when the market is this crazy. You can do a down payment. A lot of people think that because VA loans, you don't have to put a down payment, that the buyer isn't as responsible. That's another, common thing that you hear and that people are worried about. You can always put a down payment. Your funding fee for the VA loan would be less if you do that, but I absolutely don't think it's necessary. I think you need a good team and you need a good realtor and a lender on your side, and you'll be good to go.
I would agree with that for sure. So we've actually bought a house twice now throughout our military journey. We bought one in North Carolina years ago, sold it, and then eventually bought one in Pennsylvania that we're planning to retire to. And we couldn't use a VA loan for that second purchase because we weren't living in the house. We've actually been renting it out for several years. So in that situation, a VA loan does not apply. But both of those times when we bought a house, I just realized how important it is to have that strong team. And on PCS Grades, I know that we have written a lot of articles about finding the right realtor and getting a real estate agent that's going to be military friendly and work with you. And everyone knows to look for a good real estate agent. But I think that people kind of overlook the importance of having a loan officer that's also military knowledgeable, military friendly on your side. And so I just want to talk a little bit about the value of the loan officer and what do they do and kind of how they fit into that team when you're purchasing a house.
Yeah. So the loan officer comes in, obviously they're the ones giving you the loan, right? So you're applying for a home loan. you need to get, the very first step is you need to get pre-approved, not just pre-qualified, pre-approved. So I've seen many instances people will get pre-qualified with some of these like bigger banks. And a pre-qualification and pre-approval are two different things. If you get a pre-qualification, it's going to be just kind of like a basic financials, a lot of self-reported income, self-reporting assets, those types of things. And so they'll give you just kind of a ballpark number of what they think you are approved for without actually pulling your credit, verifying your assets and liabilities and financial statements, which is crucial in this market. I've had VA buyers come to me with a pre-qual for an amount way higher than they actually qualify for. So the problem with that is, say you go house hunting with a pre-qualification, you get under contract, then they run all your financials after, and you find out you don't even qualify, which is terrible. It's terrible for everyone involved. So I think the most important thing is I always make sure everyone gets all of their documents. We verify their income, verify the credit, and get you a full, strong pre-approval, because that's what you need in this market. You'll know your buying power. You're not wasting time. You're not looking at houses you can't afford. No surprises at the end. We make sure your monthly payment is right where you want it to be up front. So this isn't a surprise at the end. And then, just being in communication. We make sure to communicate at least once a week with updates with the realtors, everyone involved in the transaction. Again, if there's any questions or concerns that come up more than once weekly, we talk more than once weekly. We're like a big family all the way until closing time. So.
Yeah, I do remember that. It felt like for a month that my part-time job was just communicating with the real estate agent and the loan officer and going in circles and sending everybody each other's information. And it was a lot more communication than I had initially expected or anticipated. So for sure, I appreciate all that you do. And I just wanted to touch on the fact that I know the VA loan process is unique and it has some specific requirements that don't always apply to other types of loans. Do you think that all loan officers are equally trained and familiar with VA loans, or how would you find someone who's specifically familiar with the VA loan?
No, so some people won't even do them. I mean, a lot of people offer them. Each lender, you can choose what products you offer. I definitely think if you're doing a VA loan, you definitely want to go with people who are vetted in it, who have had the right training. I mean, and use your resources, what PCS grades. I'm not just saying that as a blurt because we're on the PCS grades webinar, but PCS grades, go to the housing office on base, talk to people who have gotten VA loans, hear the good and the bad and the ugly about what people have gone through. Word of mouth is huge. And so I would just say use your resources, use your fellow military resources, because you don't know, when you're not in it, it's not the same, right? Like anyone who's in the military gets what we're going through and gets how stressful it is to move. So make sure you're talking to everyone you know and your friends to find out who they use and, all of the ins and outs.
For sure. And I wanted to give you a couple shout outs because you are sharing such valuable information. You have a big fan watching right now. Hey, Marissa. Thanks for doing it. And we also have, this was also from Marissa telling us the importance of having that great team and never be afraid to ask questions. So I love that. And just a reminder, those of you who are watching and tuning in, we are seeing your comments live, and Lauren and Yvonne are both so knowledgeable. So please, especially if you're going through the home buying process, ask us your questions, tell us whether you've had to buy a home before, what part of this is new to you, and how they can help you today.
Yep. Absolutely. Don't be afraid of questions, right?
I haven't even, now I'm like, I need to go look. I haven't even looked at the comments yet. I'm sorry.
Well, while you do that,
I'm new here.
You're doing great. You're doing great. Well, while you do that and you go look at some of the questions, Yvonne, what would you like to tell us about CrossCountry Mortgage and the initiatives they have specifically for military spouses?
Absolutely. So at CrossCountry Mortgage, we've recently started a military CCM, Military CrossCountry Mortgage Division. And what we're doing is we are hiring military spouses and veterans across the country to be those loan originators. Just like Lauren, it's somebody who understands the military lifestyle, understands PCSing, understands, Lauren said, like, go and talk to somebody in the military who, who's used somebody before, but also why not talk to somebody in the military who knows the loan, the ins and outs of mortgages and loans. And so that's what we're trying to build here is those people who are not only knowledgeable on the mortgage side of things, but also knowledgeable on the military life side of things, merging it together so that as our families are PCSing around the country, they have somebody that they can reach out to who truly understands what they're doing and what they're going through and understands the other side of things as well.
Right.
For sure. So important. And PCS Grades knows the value of having military spouses as a resource. One of our favorite programs is the Spouse Sponsor Program. And I see that we have a few spouse sponsors tuning in today. I think Marissa is one. I think earlier I saw Danella from Hawaii. I lost her now, but if you're still watching, hello. And we love our spouse sponsor program because it has spouses at different military bases all over the country. We try to pick the larger, more populated bases. And you can reach out to these spouses before you move and ask them all of your questions about the area. What are the schools like? What are the neighborhoods like? If I have a family that's this big, what would be a good fit for us? And helping you to find that right fit is what the spouse sponsors do. So I do want to give you guys a quick announcement because PCS Grades is also hiring. And we're looking for spouse sponsors at new locations to include San Diego, the Pacific Northwest, Fort Hood, Maxwell Air Force Base, Eglin Air Force Base, and Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. So if you're tuning in from any of those locations, or if you know a really outgoing spouse who's knowledgeable at those locations, then please reach out and connect with us. You can message PCS Grades right through the page here to learn more about the spouse sponsor program.
It's such a great program. It really is for spouses to get involved and also for folks to get connected at their new base. We do have a question for you, Lauren, from Stephanie Riesenberg. She asks, if you have excellent credit and have a 20%, I assume, down payment, is there a better choice between conventional or VA loans?
Hi, Stephanie. If you have excellent credit and you have 20% down, I would definitely say go conventional because once you have the 20% down, with the 20% equity in the house, you will get rid of mortgage insurance. So I would say that, yes, I would go conventional in that situation.
Awesome. And for those of you who are looking to do that comparison, just so you know, there is a free download on PCS Grades, which is our guide. I think it's just called the home loan guide. And we're going to drop that in the comments for you as well. It's your free guide to getting a home loan. It's one of several free downloads that we have available on our site. And it just kind of lays out some of those advantages, figuring out which situation that you're in, just like the question that Lauren just received. So please go ahead and let us know if you have other questions, Stephanie, or anyone else watching, about trying to make that home loan choice and just navigating the whole home buying process.
And if anyone has any specific questions too, I'm happy to answer. I know that they put my link in there. On there, you can find our website. You can apply. My direct cell phone number is on there. So feel free to reach out for any other questions too if they come up later.
So Lauren, can we go back to a little bit about the pre-approval process? I think folks might now, because you've explained it so well, understand the difference between getting pre-qualified and pre-approved. But what goes into the pre-approval process? What do you need to gather? What kind of information do you have to submit? I remember that being a heavy load buying a house. And so can you talk to us about that process?
So first thing, when I'm approving you a VA loan, so I'll have you do an application. That's the first thing. I need you guys to submit an application. Once you submit your application, it'll automatically tell you all the documents you need pertaining to your specific situation. You need your most recent LES. You need your past 2 years of W-2s. And any other income, if you have income from other sources, upload all of those, most recent bank statements. With that, I can get you a good pre-approval. We'll go over everything. We do a hard pull on your credit. And that's about it. Once you're under contract, then comes, all the signing and all the disclosures and anything else that my team might need. But for the main pre-approval, those are the documents that are generally requested immediately.
Perfect. Thank you. That is very helpful. Absolutely.
I think it's important too that we tell people all the time that you can go to that apply now link that we have and just do a basic get your information in there so that you can be connected to one of our loan originators and they can answer specific questions to your situation. So we're there to advise even before doing a hard pull on your credit and things like that. So I think it's important for, when people are going through the home buying process, a lot of times they're supposed to be given 3, but sometimes they'll just be given one place to go and get their mortgage, by their realtor. And so they just go with what they're given and they don't actually shop around. Like, don't be afraid to shop around. Don't be afraid to go to multiple mortgage companies, do their soft apply type thing, and just see what they can advise you and what they might be able to offer you before you actually lock into anything, because you don't have to use the person that your real estate agent tells you to use.
No, I recommend shopping around. Yeah, I would say at least 3. Every time I've bought a house, I've done the same exact thing. You should always shop around and talk to multiple different lenders instead of just going to just one, because you don't know what else is out there. I mean, it's very important, I think, to shop around, and especially being military, everyone's kind of gets sent to bigger banks. Not saying to steer away from them. I'm not saying that at all, but it is very helpful to have a local lender, an actual person you can talk to, not a call center where you're just a number, because this process is a big life event.
Lauren, I appreciate you saying that, because that was exactly our experience the last time we looked into buying a home. It was during the pandemic. So as you know, I mean, everyone was behind and paperwork was slowed anyway. But we did initially contact a large national lending company, and it delayed things for almost a month of just sort of waiting, and we weren't sure what stage of the process we were in, and we weren't able to move forward and really act on anything because we were still waiting on that approval. And after a month of kind of going back and forth and realizing that it hadn't even been processed yet, a local real estate agent had recommended, well, why don't you try this smaller lender who's much more personable? And they were, answering the phone directly and answering emails the same day. And it was just a night and day, completely different experience. So once I realized that, I wished I had kind of shopped around a little bit earlier.
Yeah. But hey, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Now I know. And I hope now our viewers can learn from my mistakes.
So Yvonne, talk to me a little bit more about when you said you can apply, just soft before you've got anything finalized. What point in your home buying adventure do you start the pre-approval process? Is this like you have orders and you're kind of looking at other places to move? Or is this, I have the house I want, this is how much the house costs, this is what offer was accepted? Where in the process do you start doing paperwork like pre-approval and pre-qualified?
Anywhere in that process. You can do it at the very beginning. You can do it really anywhere. I mean, I think everybody is different. Like, I would prefer to just do it at the beginning and have that knowledge going in, right? Some people wait until they found their house already.
I say ahead of time, because in this market too, say you found the house and then you didn't even apply for a loan yet, you could probably lose out on that offer.
No, absolutely.
Get approved so quickly.
And I mean, you can do it even without having your real estate agent yet. You can do it well beforehand.
Oh yeah. I think you should find your lender before you find your real estate agent. A good real estate agent would tell you that. A real estate agent should not be taking you around looking at houses before you're qualified, because we don't even know what you're qualified for yet. So it's that power. It gives you that buying power. You know what you can afford. Why waste time, your time, everyone's time driving around if it's, something that you can't even, you guys don't want that price range for your payment, because you won't know. So many things factor into what your payment's going to be, not just house price.
So of course your rates change, and fluctuate with the market, as we're seeing even with gas prices. Is there an expiration on what you're approved for? If you apply now for something that you're going to buy in 3, 4, 5 months, do you have to reapply?
No, unless your income changes, or say you acquire more debt, which you should never do. Don't ever apply for any other credit while you're in the home loan process. If your income remains the same, your purchase price would stay the same. However, unless you were at the very high end and we were cutting ratios really close and rates went up, we would have to lower the loan amount, or you have to buy the rate down. I mean, there's a lot of ways we can kind of play with it to make it work. But in that instance, if you're playing that close and at the top of your budget, yes, your budget might have to come down a little bit.
But Lauren, even with not just the loan amount that you can qualify for, but can't you lock in rates as well?
Oh yeah, is that what you're asking, the rates? So when you lock it, once you're under contract, the rate we lock you in at, that will stay the same until closing. That won't change. Once you're locked in, you'll keep that same rate, even if rates go up the next day. You're locked in at that rate.
But until it locks, it does.
Until it locks, until it locks, it fluctuates out, like even hourly sometimes. But we keep a pretty strong eye on that. Our team does, and I always am super transparent with all of my clients. We'll actually screenshot the grid, the current market grid, and send to them to show all of the pricing options for every rate.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Lauren, I'm really glad that you brought up the issue of the credit check and whether or not you should be having large purchases from your accounts around the same time that you're looking for a home, because I know that's something that our real estate agent told us at some point in the process, but it probably wasn't the very first piece of advice I heard. And I think people need that advice a little bit earlier before any of that credit is going to be pulled. I mean, for example, my younger sister is engaged and getting married this year. So they are planning a wedding and shopping for houses. And I had to really caution her about, having those large deposits for any type of wedding event in the same time that they're trying to get approved for a home. So do you have any advice for those types of timelines when you know that if you're going to be PCSing and you have to buy a vehicle or some type of large purchase that maybe you can't avoid it, but how should you work that out when you're also home buying?
Just communication, which is why, I like to say start looking at your numbers way ahead of time. Like, you're moving, I would start looking at what you can afford, and communication with your lender. Hey, do we have room? We are trying to buy a vehicle, or we need to trade our vehicle in, or this purchase is coming up, because then we can kind of play in your file with it. If we add it in, we can tell you, what you could afford if you need to add something on your credit, because typically we don't want surprises of these large purchases on your credit. But if we know ahead of time, we can look and kind of give you the go ahead, or tell you, hey, wait until you're done.
Absolutely.
So speaking of large purchases and large, somewhat not useless purchases, but every now and then you have to go to a big fancy military event and you have to buy a ball gown. And so I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about, I know you told us about what Operation Deploy Your Dress is, Yvonne, but I want to hear, and I think our listeners would like to hear more about what inspired this. Tell us about the genesis of how this started from an idea to a global operation.
Absolutely. So Operation Deploy Your Dress, like I said, started in December of 2015. It was supposed to be a 2-day event. And 6 years later, here we are, right? So we had a few balls going on at Fort Bliss, Texas, in a few different units. And each unit was planning its own dress swap, which is not unusual to a military life, right? You have a dress, you have a dress, you have a dress, and we've already worn these dresses to other events, so let's swap so that we can wear a new to us dress and not have to have our pictures look the same event after event after event. Yeah. So this is what we thought we were going to do. We hope to collect a couple hundred dresses, put them up in the community center on post, which we had already reserved, and give away our dresses over that weekend and go back to our everyday lives after that. And then we got a little bit of national media attention around doing this. And that national media attention turned into 3,000 dresses, not 200 dresses. We were very fortunate that the garrison commander was very supportive of us, said, hey, use this closed down gift shop to give your dresses away. And when your dresses are gone, you can give me the key back, type of thing. So we did that. And I joke around many times, if people have heard me talk about Operation Deploy Your Dress before, I say dresses are like rabbits and they keep multiplying. So even as we're giving them away, there's more dresses and more dresses. And so our numbers weren't going down, even though we were giving dresses away. So we reached out to the local spouses club and said, hey, is this something that you would like to take on as, a program under your spouses club? And they said yes. So that's how the first shop happened. From there, I was PCSing about 6 months after our very first shop, came to fruition. And so we said, let's see if this will happen, if this is going to work elsewhere, or if this was just kind of a lucky thing here. And so I was moving to the Hampton Roads area and went to Fort Eustis, Virginia, and opened up a shop there. And again, just as successful. So from that, we just kind of realized, okay, the need for dresses is there. The desire to help is there. And so let's just keep this going. So we've just grown from there. Fort Eustis, then Fort Lewis, then Fort Irwin, California. Then from there, we went to Georgia, went to Fort Benning, and then Fort Stewart, then Fort Carson, then COVID hit, and we said, that's okay. We're still going to keep growing. And so people have time on their hands, so let's build some more shops. And so we went to Fort Drum and Fort Rucker and Germany and Fort Hood. And yeah, it's such an amazing program because it is truly military families that come together to help military families as far as distributing the dresses and being on the installations, but it's also the civilian, our civilian counterparts that are out there in the community saying, how can we help? What can we do to support our troops? And it's as simple as them going into their closet and pulling something out that they're never going to wear again, never going to use again, that they just didn't want to take to a thrift store because they have some emotional attachments to it. And they say, you know what, this is a worthy cause. They box it up and send it to us, and away we go. We deploy that dress.
How many do you have metrics from all of your different shops of how many dresses you've deployed now?
Yes, so we have deployed over 16,000 dresses.
It's amazing.
Something like that. That's incredible.
And just last week, I flew from Colorado Springs to North Carolina. I was supposed to be here in DC this week, but I had this opportunity in North Carolina to get 1,500 brand new dresses donated to us. And I knew that we needed dresses for our DC pop-up event. So I said, you know what, we're going to have to reroute ourselves. So I flew from Colorado Springs to North Carolina. I rented a U-Haul and I drove up the East Coast from North Carolina to DC in a U-Haul with 1,500 dresses, and delivered them here on Friday so that the team here will have them for their event come April 30th. So you know what, you do what you have to do to get the job done, and it's an exciting thing to do.
It's remarkable. Are you able to tell us who donated the dresses?
So it's actually another organization that is called the Military Patriot Family Foundation, I believe. I hope I didn't butcher it.
Patriot Military Foundation, it says.
Yes.
What's that? Yeah, Patriot Military Family Foundation.
Okay.
And they received the dresses actually from an organization called Brides Across America, which I'm sure people have heard of before. And so Brides Across America they do what we do, but with military, or not military, for military families, but with bridal, gowns for weddings. And so they don't need like the colored gowns that are for formals and stuff. And so when they received these, they gave them to this Military Patriot Family Foundation, and they reached out to us and said, hey, do you want these dresses? And so I drove 1,000 of them to Fort Bragg, from Charlotte to Fort Bragg, and then 1,500 of them up here to DC last week. So yeah.
Amazing.
So
How many volunteers? I mean, it just must take a huge lift to have this many shops around the country. How many volunteers do you have, and how can folks get involved?
So, yep, we have multiple volunteers at each location, obviously. So I would say probably at any given time, we have about 100 volunteers around the world, right? Our DC event, it takes about 50 volunteers the day of just to pull off that event. We give about 500 dresses away in one day.
Wow.
So yeah, to get involved, you can reach out to us on our Facebook page, Operation Deploy Your Dress. Each of the shops has its own Facebook page. So, Fort Bliss, Operation Deploy Your Dress, JBLM, Operation Deploy Your Dress. So you can reach out that way to a specific shop if you're in that area. If you're in the DC area, go to our Facebook page or go to our website, and you can send us a message saying that you're interested in helping. We'll actually be posting information about that event coming up very soon. And then also, if you want to just come and shop and get a dress from us in the DC area, which would be amazing, there'll be a link posted within the next couple of weeks to sign up for that event as well.
And if folks want to donate dresses for any of the events or to any of your shops around the world, how do they do that?
So we have a website that is being updated right now, but should be up within the next day or so, with all the locations. So you can just click on a location. There's a mailing address there that you can mail to them. If you're local, you can just drop them off at those locations. And if you're here in the DC area, you can go to our Facebook page, and we have drop-off locations all over DC and Nova, DC and Northern Virginia area, that are collecting dresses for this event as well. So there's plenty of opportunity to donate to Operation Player Dress. We also take accessories. Shoes are a little bit difficult, but shawls, purses, jewelry, all those things are also welcomed because we give those away as well.
Yvonne, that is so exciting. Such a fun and meaningful nonprofit mission. So we love what you're doing. And I've benefited from those dresses going to some of my first balls. So I certainly appreciate it. I heard you mention a lot of Army bases. I just wanted to clarify, I'm pretty sure that all of your events and all of your activities are open to all branches. Is that correct?
All branches of service, all ranks as well. We've started by 5 Army spouses, so that's where our contacts are. So that's obviously, at least for now, where our locations are. But we are on quite a few joint bases. So we're not just in Army installations; they're just on joint bases. But we are always open and ready to go into another branch of services installation. So reach out to us; we'd be happy to do that.
For sure. And just wanted to do a little segue to our giveaway that we're about to start, because if you are looking at your first military ball coming up, there happens to be a letter in my book about go open when you're going to your first military ball. So you can get your dress through Operation Deploy Your Dress, and then you can read an encouraging letter about what to expect and what to do and what's the norm at the military balls, so that you can just enjoy it and have fun. So with that, Tessa, are we ready to give away a book and a Stress Less PCS kit?
I think we are. And I think we should add some sort of prize if in the next couple of weeks we get pictures of somebody closing on a house in a ball gown. I just
Yes.
So if you'll shoot us a picture of you closing on a house or applying for your home loan in a ball gown, I'm sure we have a book for you or something special we can get.
We can absolutely come up with something.
That's great.
All right, let's give away a prize. Here we go. So thank you for everybody who has commented, asked questions, and a special, of course, thank you so much to our incredible guests. You both are absolutely amazing. We're so thankful to have you here.
Thanks for having us.
It's time for Wheel of Names. This really is my favorite part.
I know.
And it's
Angela.
Yay, Angela. So Angela, please message the page with the best contact information for you in order for us to give you your prize. And before we wrap up, Lizanne, tell us a little bit more about what the fine folks in the audience can find on PCS Grade's fabulous website.
Absolutely. Well, I already mentioned we had our 100th area guide published. So you can go to pcsgrades.com and find area guides for 100 different military bases around the country. But it's also a resource for all aspects of your move. So not just learning about the base, but you can read blog articles from other spouses talking about how to move while pregnant, how to move with kids, how to move your pets, going overseas, all those unique individual situations that we find ourselves in. And we also have places where you can write and read reviews from other military families that are for other military families. So we have reviews of on-base housing, we have reviews of off-base neighborhoods, and it really is a great way to kind of give back to the community, share what you've experienced in your neighborhood so that other people who are moving to the area can see if it is the right fit for them. So we definitely encourage you to leave a review of the area that you're living in right now, whether it's on base or off base. It can definitely help people down the road. And of course, we have these weekly webinars. Every week we bring moving experts to you. So today it was CrossCountry Mortgage, and I want to extend a special thank you to Lauren and Yvonne for all of your knowledge and information. But next week, we are going to be talking with Chuck and Dan from the International Association of Movers, IAM. And that is a great resource for asking all of your moving questions, learning what's going on with the moving industry this year, what we can expect, and just some really high level detail of what goes into a military move. So, Tessa, I'm excited to chat with them next week. And I know you are too.
I am, and there will be prizes. I kind of love, by the way, I kind of just love wearing a ball gown on.
I know.
I think it should become an every week thing.
I think it should.
I don't know. I'm not going to promise that, but I did enjoy it for today. It's a fun way to celebrate International Women's Day with all of you lovely ladies. So thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
We'll see you next week. And until then, Lizanne, close us out.
This too shall PCS.
Thanks, everybody.